Part 23. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 223. Just when Wang Shuo was busy dealing with the reward materials, the system prompt sounded again. The battle for the village order is over, and the system function is adjusted. 1. The teleportation array between towns is open for specific conditions, please explore by yourself. 2. All refugees can join the town with the Heart of Shelter and become residents of the system. Town refugees without the Heart of Shelter can choose to join the village built by the player after 3 days. Players without household registration will not be allowed to enter the system town. 3. Except for special building props, all buildings must be built by players of corresponding life professions, and the use of system skills will be further weakened. A series of system prompts, each one tells players that the reality of this world is increasing. The system has been upgraded again, from the 2.0 era to the 3.0 era. After reading all the information, Wang Shuo took a deep breath. He fell into deep thought. At the same time, great changes have also taken place in various towns. Take Nanshanji as an example. The closed Lord's Mansion in the original core area is opened. A team of guards walked out, and the leader was wearing a tall hat and a wide belt, with an elegant appearance, looking like a weak scholar. Soon, the guards posted a notice on the bulletin board, and at the same time, every player in Nanshanji had a system prompt in their mind. I am Lin Guanru, the mayor of Nanshanji. Welcome everyone to join Nanshanji. In order to enhance the strength of Nanshanji and select outstanding talents, there are a large number of vacancies in the Lord's Mansion. Welcome all knowledgeable people to challenge. Players can become officials. Countless players in Nanshanji were shocked and excited. At the same time, the leaders of the 10 major gangs in Nanshanji also received invitations from Mayor Lin Guanru. Invite them to enter the Lord's Mansion for discussion. The Lord in the Wild, of course, could not feel this change. However, Zhang Yu, who was in the Wild Wolf gang at this time, saw that the gang leader Zhuqiai received the invitation letter, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. When Zhuqiai went to the Lord's Mansion to keep the appointment, he quietly sent a message to Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo received the message with a solemn expression. The huge changes in Nanshanji were beyond his expectation. According to spy Zhang Yu, a mayor appeared in Nanshanji, and there were also barracks. The level of the guards was generally between 40 and 60, and the number was still unknown. Moreover, the territory managers who came out of the Lord's Mansion had high IQs and behaved like ordinary people. Wang Shuo frowned and became a little worried. The people who appeared in these system towns must not be regarded as system NPCs. But who are they? What is their purpose? Wang Shuo was a little worried about this. Continue to observe the situation and report at any time, Wang Shuo replied. Chang Gui, do you know what happened? Wang Shuo was confused and wanted to get some answers from Chang Gui. Lord, I have also felt some changes now, but when I think about it deeply, I feel a splitting headache. Wang Shuo sneered, where do you get the head? After thinking about it, Wang Shuo decided to improve his strength. Now he is no longer the rookie who was scared out of his wits by him. Besides, there is the constraint of thought stamp. Wang Shuo is also more relieved about Chang Gui. Tell me, how many soul crystals do you need to treat your headache? Lord, it's generous, 100 will be enough. Chang Gui directly attached a fist with a thumbs up at the end of the text. Then I'll give you 20 first. Lord, you're too stingy. Humph, if you want more, you have to show your value. Don't you think your role is not reflected at all? Even the military advisor Zhou Yuanjia is not as good as you. Lord, how can you compare me with that useless military advisor? You wait, when I recover my soul, I will definitely be a proper military advisor. Don't just talk. After that, Wang Shuo gave Chang Gui 20 soul crystals. He didn't know how much Chang Gui's soul strength could be improved, and whether it would bring him unexpected changes. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 224. Wang Shuo came to the stable of the cavalry camp again. He immediately received 100 flaming war horses, 10 stallions and 90 marrays. Wang Shuo smiled mischievously. I don't know if these stallions can bear this 1:9 ratio. Each of the 100 war horses was shiny and sleek, with fine hairs like flames all over their bodies. If it weren't for the upgrade of the second-level barracks, the original stables couldn't hold so many war horses. Wang Shuo took out an ordinary war horse and stood together. The ordinary war horse was half a head shorter than the flaming war horse. The momentum emanating from the flaming war horse made the ordinary war horse feel uncomfortable and couldn't help wanting to stay away from them. Each flaming horse had a horse tag hanging around its neck, which could be stored in the horse tag. Wang Shuo noticed at this time that these war horses actually needed to eat. Wang Shuo ordered someone to bring some food, and the flaming war horse immediately started eating. Flame war horse, level 2 monster, agility 50, 1 times the speed of an ordinary warhorse, stronger endurance, and twice the charge ability of an ordinary warhorse. Incredible! A groom who delivered the food immediately said to Wang Shuo, Lord, these monster warhorses need to be fed with energy crystals for the best effect. When Wang Shuo heard this, his heart was slightly shocked. Okay, here comes another big consumer of energy crystals. According to the groom, a warhorse needs to consume 1 energy crystal a day. If it is a mare, it is best to consume 2 energy crystals a day. This can speed up the breeding of foals. Okay, you will need to regularly go to Duan Zongguan to withdraw the energy crystals you need to feed in the future. Back at the Lord's mansion, Wang Shuo thought of his reward, and there were 2 mines. Saltpeter mine, you can collect saltpeter. Level 2 gold mine, you can collect a large amount of gold ore, which can be used to cast equipment. This is a good thing. In Wang Shuo's blacksmith shop, there are a lot of gold equipment that need to be made, and there is a lack of gold ore. Just when Wang Shuo was smiling, the space around Wang Shuo seemed to be imprisoned. The figure of Lord Zack appeared in front of Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo, congratulations on winning the first place in Changping County. When Wang Shuo heard this, he thought of his 5th place in Hedong County. Wang Shuo forced a smile and asked, Lord Zack, you are not here to congratulate me. Lord Zack put away his smile and said seriously, I am here to tell you that you have a great opportunity now. Wang Shuo raised his eyebrows and showed a hint of interest. The Lord of Sunset City in the outer domain is very optimistic about you and wants you to join his army. Wang Shuo was surprised. Of course, in return for your joining his territory, he will now give you a big resource package. What restrictions do I have to join his army, and what are the benefits? Wang Shuo asked with a puzzled face. Well, as a player I am very optimistic about, I will tell you in person. Join his army, you will naturally be his subordinate and obey his orders. Although he is still outside the domain and cannot give you orders in person, you will meet when the time is right. Can I refuse? Of course, but don't you want to hear about the resources he gave you for the initial investment? Wang Shuo did not speak. Master Zack, with a sharp gaze, stared at Wang Shuo. Then he said slowly, 1 level 3 iron mine, 1 level 3 gold mine, 1 senior blacksmith, 1 senior architect, 1 senior doctor, 1 million energy crystals, 5 senior general job transfer certificates, 2 senior military advisor job transfer certificates. Wang Shuo's breathing became rapid. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 225. Swallowing his saliva, Wang Shuo asked in some doubt, Master Zack, If these resources are given to a player, won't it destroy the balance of the game? Haha, young man, you are too naive. Those who don't have the strength to destroy the balance will not survive to the end. Improving strength also requires players to operate themselves. A 3-year-old child holding a magic weapon must be able to control it himself. Besides, these things, in my opinion, will not destroy your so-called balance. After all, someone already has these things. Wang Shuo was not feeling well. Someone already has them. Will it be Dongxi village? Master Zack, what do you think I should choose? Okay, it seems that you have made a choice. A wise move. You can open the treasure bag I gave you. Master Zack disappeared inexplicably. Hey, actually I wanted, Wang Shuo wanted to yell, but he felt that it was not decent. Wang Shuo did not regret it. Although he missed a snowball opportunity, he felt the preciousness of freedom. The contract of selling oneself is not something that can be exchanged for these resources. Lord Zack, this shouldn't be. These resources of mine are enough for him to grow up, and he really refused. Are you doubting me? Lord Zack's momentum burst out, and the Lord of Sunset City suddenly realized that he was just a small chess piece. But he still didn't give up. Lord Zack, I dare not, but, can I have a few words with Wang Shuo? Humph, this is against the rules. Wang Shuo heard Lord Zack's reminder and quickly took out 3 brocade bags, and found that the rope at the seal of one of the brocade bags was actually loose. After opening it, there was a piece of animal skin inside. There was a text written on it. To upgrade the town, you need the heart of the town, attack the system town to get the heart of the town, ... This reminder shocked Wang Shuo. It not only made Wang Shuo happy, but also gave him a huge problem. This setting is simply fanning the flames. The last moment, the strength of the system town was strengthened, and the next moment, players were asked to attack it in order to upgrade the town. This is really a big deal. Is the system town so easy to attack? Soldiers of level 50 or 60 are well trained and must be extremely powerful. There are also a large number of players in the town. If you attack them, it would be strange if they don't resist. Wang Shuo suddenly felt a headache. At this time, woof, woof. De Wang's voice sounded beside Wang Shuo's ears. Wang Shuo came back to his senses and saw that De Huang was getting more and more powerful. Throw him an energy crystal. De Huang swallowed it in one bite and licked his nose with his tongue, obviously feeling a little unsatisfied. Seeing its tail wagging non-stop, Wang Shuo took out the dog tag he got from the Dragon King's underground palace and hung it directly on its neck. It looks pretty good. Wang Shuo had studied it for a long time before, but he had no idea about the function and use of this dog tag. He thought, since the name is a dog tag, I wonder if there will be any changes when it is worn on the dog's neck. So this move is not a whim. But De Huang, who wore the dog tag, suddenly felt creepy. It was as if he had detected something terrible. Wang Shuo observed for a long time, but nothing else happened. He even dripped De Wang's blood and his own blood on the dog tag, but there was still no change. Wang Shuo sighed and thought that De Huang was a little uncomfortable with having an extra thing on his neck. This dog tag is just a decoration for you. See if it looks much more handsome, Wang Shuo joked to De Huang. Woof woof. De Huang barked twice and ran out. No longer paying attention to this stupid dog, Wang Shuo thought of the Dragon King's underground palace. A month later, the undead army invaded again, and Wang Shuo had a headache again. It seems that it is necessary to attack Nanshanji and upgrade the town in this month to stop the attack of the undead army. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 226. Wang Shuo came to the mine where Myra was. It was pitch black in the mine, and you couldn't see your hand in front of you. Wang Shuo lit a torch and walked with Duan Wengzi for a long time before arriving at Myra's station. At this time, countless gold-eating demon worms were hatching, and Myra's body became even bigger. "Myra, how are you doing recently?" "Master, I'm fine." Wang Shuo told her about the saltpeter mine and the gold mine, and wanted to hear her opinion on where to place them. "Master, this kind of mineral deposit only requires you to mark an area, and the system will transform this land into a mining area. As for the location, it doesn't matter, as long as it's close to me." Wang Shuo understood and directly placed the saltpeter mine and the gold mine next to the iron mine to facilitate Myra's descendants to mine. At present, the gold-eating demon worms produced by Myra can provide 1,000 units of iron ore for the territory every day, and the output is still increasing. Wang Shuo is still very satisfied with this. After returning to the territory, Wang Shuo carefully sorted out the development plan of the territory. Just at this time, Chang Gui also digested the soul crystal. "Lord!" A voice suddenly exploded in Wang Shuo's mind, scaring Wang Shuo. "Who?" "Me, Chang Gui." You can speak. Well, now you don't have to write a diary anymore. You came at the right time. What suggestions do you have for future development? And what major events will happen later, and we can take the lead from them? My lord, let me sort out my thoughts." Wang Shuo's brows were lifted, and he looked forward to it. Chang Gui said, "Lord, in the next period of time, it is a window period for the lords to quickly increase their strength and prepare for the next attack on the system town. Of course, the controller of the system town will certainly not let the wild lord succeed easily. The next battle will be very fierce." Wang Shuo nodded, which was almost what he expected. "Do you think other lords know that they are going to attack the system town?" "In the short term, they probably don't know. According to my memory, when I was the village chief, a lord accidentally attacked a small town, and the news spread." "What about the lords from outside the domain?" "Of course they know, but for some reasons, they can't tell others for the time being." Wang Shuo was thoughtful. It seems that the news given by Lord Zak is known to all players outside the domain. Although so, it still gives Wang Shuo a slight advantage. Wang Shuo plans to rest for a few days first. Send Giliji out to explore the situation around the territory. Let the spies sent out step up to get the news. All soldiers will be stationed in the ancient battlefield in turn to train and upgrade their levels. Since he can fully control the dungeon, Wang Shuo directly spawned a large number of undead according to the needs, simulated various undead arms, enhanced the army's actual combat experience, and upgraded their levels. Soldiers who did not enter the ancient battlefield entered the transmission hall and the loyal soul hall to practice and worship. At the same time, let the craftsman camp speed up the production of equipment. And I stepped up to practice the Black Dragon Sutra, study the craftsman's manual and the production of the dead spirit orb. In this way, 7 days passed in a flash. These days are the most leisurely days since Wang Shuo entered the survival game. Giliji, who is responsible for investigating the news, came to report. "Lord, I have found the traces of the horse bandits." Wang Shuo smiled and finally could take action against them. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 227. In a flash, Wang Shuo has been in this survival world for more than 40 days. Standing on the stage, Wang Shuo looked at the dark soldiers in front of him, and felt a lot in his heart. In front of each team, there was a soldier holding a large flag with a tile pattern painted on it, and at the same time, a big WA was written on it. This is the military flag pattern selected after everyone discussed together. Each type of soldiers drew different logos next to the tile. The cavalry drew a horse under the tile, and the archer drew a bow. The 5 major teams were arranged neatly, and their respective generals stood in front. Today, Wang Shuo planned to go to clear out the horse bandits. In this expedition, Wang Shuo would use absolute strength to crush his opponents. 200 cavalry, 200 shield soldiers, 400 archers, 200 Black Mountain bandits, and 200 crossbow battalions, a total of 1,200 people. After 7 days of training, the average level of these 1,200 people has reached level 28. Mainly the newly enlisted soldiers have become the focus of Ayub's training. In order to improve the training effect, Wang Shuo even handed the Tiger Talisman to Ayub, so that Ayub can take care of every soldier under his command in detail. But to achieve this level, the energy requirements are getting higher and higher. Ayub's current limit should be only 2,000 people. And Wang Shuo's energy is higher than Ayub's now, and he can barely command 3,000 people. The city defense army now has 500 people. It is more than enough to guard the village. And Wang Shuo also left 100 crossbow battalion soldiers, plus the bronze city wall. With such defense, no player should be able to break through his territory in a short time. The 2 kinds of gold equipment obtained from Kingmu village have also produced 100 sets each. Wang Shuo handed 100 sets of gold fine leaf fish scale armor to Ayub, arming half of the cavalry. Golden fish scale armor, gold level heavy armor, defense add 100, durability 200/200. This cavalry is developing in the direction of heavy cavalry. It's just that the flaming horse cannot be equipped yet, otherwise the combat effectiveness will be further improved. 100 sets of rhino leather armor were handed over to Gongkai to arm a small number of archers. Rhino leather armor, gold level leather armor, defense add 80, agility add 20, durability 200/200. At the same time, each archer has been equipped with a 100-step piercing bow. 100-step piercing bow, excellent level weapon, attack power add 10, agility add 8, durability 30/30ths, a common standard weapon in the army. The combat effectiveness has increased linearly, and Wang Shuo is very pleased. As for the other 3 arms, they are currently only equipped with excellent equipment, most of which are still dropped by wild beasts, and the styles are not uniform. There is no way. There are only more than 60 people in the blacksmith shop, and the productivity is still a little insufficient. But it doesn't matter. As time goes by, the territory will develop better and better. Let's go. The Fiima village where the horse bandits are located is close to the Xiangshui River and more than 40 miles away from Wangshuo's Wana village. It is distributed in a triangle with Nanshanji. Because many soldiers have no horses yet, the marching speed of the group is not fast. Wang Shuo even sent cavalry to inform the small villages along the way, telling them about the invasion of the undead army, and asked them to come to Wana village as soon as possible. As for whether they listen or not, Wang Shuo doesn't care for the time being. Anyway, life is your own. As for population, Wang Shuo can brush tool people, and he is not too worried. Instead, it is the high proportion of refugees that makes Wang Shuo worried. After walking 2/3 of the distance, Wang Shuo divided the cavalry into small teams and began to explore the enemy's situation. The intelligence that Gilaji spied on was only a rough estimate and not accurate. According to her, the Fiima village is roughly estimated to have 800 people, and she only explored 7 generals. Even so, Wang Shuo was somewhat cautious. This battle was bound to be a tough one. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 228. Wang Shuo ordered the troops to rest on the spot, while he took Gong Zheng and others to survey the terrain and select the battlefield. There was a hilly terrain nearby, but there was still a small alluvial plain on the edge of the river valley, which was suitable for cavalry charge. The main force of Fiima village should be all cavalry, so it was very important to occupy a favorable high ground. Soon, Wang Shuo found a gentle hill that was enough to overlook the entire alluvial plain. Wang Shuo immediately brought all the infantry to the hill and stationed them. The slope of the hill was 15 degrees and the length was about 2,000 meters, which was enough to slow down the charge of the opponent's cavalry. At the same time, the catapult could also attack the plain, which was a very ideal strategic high ground. Wang Shuo immediately created a large mud pit trap on one side of the hill as a barrier. Prevent the horse bandits from attacking from this direction. The crossbow battalion was arranged on this side, with archers in the middle and black mountain bandits and shield soldiers on the outermost layer. It formed a solid defensive position. After eating some dry food, the cavalry who were investigating also came back. At the same time, they also captured several prisoners. This made Wang Shuo very satisfied. Through interrogation, Wang Shuo learned that there are currently 7 leaders in Fiima village, all of whom are military generals, with a level of about 40, and there are more than 800 horse bandits, each equipped with a war horse. Wang Shuo looked solemn. The third leader he had killed before was only level 25. It seems that their levels have been improved a lot during this period. At the same time, a trace of doubt arose in his heart. Why didn't these horse bandits come to trouble him during this period? Don't they know that it was him who killed their third leader? Wang Shuo couldn't figure it out. In fact, after Good knew that Doliku was killed, he also thought about revenge, but with the improvement of intelligence, his feelings for these brothers were not so deep. Moreover, during this period, he was busy improving his strength, and the looting was done by his subordinates. He also understood that if there is no strength in this world, it will eventually be wiped out by the players. Even this time, if it wasn't for the spies reporting that a large number of players were approaching Pegasus village, he didn't want to pay attention. Good stopped practicing the spirit snake body technique, frowned, looked a little impatient, and turned to the meeting room. In the meeting room, several leaders were also present. Big boss, there are a large number of players approaching our camp. These players are really full and have nothing better to do. They dare to offend me. Good was very unhappy when he heard the report from his subordinates. Have you found out which force it is? How many people are coming? Good sat on the chair and wiped his beloved bow. This bow is called the Sunset Bow, a strong bow of gold level. No one in Pegasus village can pull this bow except Good. The ones who are reporting back to the boss are soldiers from Wana village, the same force that killed the third boss before. Great. I didn't go looking for trouble with him, but he came to me on his own initiative. He is simply looking for death. Good stood up and ordered his men, gather, let's go to meet this Wana village. After gathering the troops, Good led more than 800 cavalrymen to the side of the alluvial plain, facing the hill where Wang Shuo's troops were located. The cavalry of Fiima village are all light cavalry, mainly rangers and archers. They are good at medium-range attacks, especially the 200 archers directly under Good, who are even more skilled in archery and horse riding, and can be called elite. The two sides set up their formations and confronted each other. Wang Shuo couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Looking at the formation, the other side didn't look like ordinary horse bandits at all, but rather a well-trained regular army. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 230. Wang Shuo, who was riding on a horse, stumbled and almost fell to the ground with his horse. Although he did not fall off the horse, the speed of the charge slowed down. At this moment, Good opened his bow again and aimed at Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo's pupils shrank sharply. The distance between the two was still 300 meters, and the distance just now was at least 500 meters. Good's attack range was more than twice that of ordinary archers. Without caring about much, Wang Shuo held the gun with both hands and prepared to shoot down the arrow. Close. Close. This time Wang Shuo was more prepared. At the moment when the arrow was about to hit him, he swung his hands hard and finally shot down the flying arrow. However, before Wang Shuo had time to be happy, 2 more arrows followed. 3 stars in a row. Wang Shuo had no time to shoot away the 2 arrows and was stabbed directly. -1100. -800. Wang Shuo was shot down from his horse. Lord! Lord! Gong Zheng and Ayub saw that the situation was not right, and rushed over at the moment when Good shot the arrow. Seeing Wang Shuo fall off his horse, all the soldiers in Wana village were sweating and their hearts were in their throats. And Wang Shuo, who fell to the ground, was also in great pain at the moment. His health value dropped by nearly half, and most importantly, it hurt. He had stars in his eyes and was dizzy. He endured the pain and took a blood recovery pill. Blood recovery pill, immediately restore 1000 health points. This blood recovery pill was made by Wana village's own doctor, and it was much better than the previous health recovery potion. 1 pill was not enough, so Wang Shuo took another one, which made him feel better. Good was very satisfied when he saw Wang Shuo being shot down from his horse. He already knew that Wang Shuo was the lord of Wana village. If he could capture him, he would become a god of war in front of his brothers. Although he didn't care much about this false reputation, he still had to do it in order to have more time to improve his strength and intimidate his subordinates. He was unwilling to let go of such a good opportunity. At this time, Wang Shuo was like a lamb in Good's eyes, and he could be manipulated at will. Just when Good was about to bend down and lift Wang Shuo up, Ayub and Gong Zheng were almost there. But the 2 of them were still dozens of meters away from Wang Shuo. It was too late. Gong Zheng directly abandoned his warhorse, jumped up, and performed Taishan pressing the top. The release distance of this skill was as far as 50 meters. Just when Good was bending down, he saw a figure in the distance, drawing an arc in the air, and arrived in an instant. Good's heart tightened, and he didn't care about grabbing Wang Shuo, and hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his chest to make a defensive posture. With a clang, Gong Zheng fell from the sky and kicked Good's chest with his feet. However, Good's elbows protected his chest and the wrist guards on his arms held Gong Zheng's feet. This blow was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Good's mount was crushed into a pile of flesh and blood on the spot. Even Good's feet were deeply sunk into the soil, burying half of his calves. Wang Shuo also woke up and showed a shocked expression. And Ayub also slashed at Good with a knife. It was a rare opportunity, and Ayub even used lightning rising dragon strike directly. Good, who was entangled with Gong Zheng, saw another fierce general rushing over, and immediately exerted force with both hands to force Gong Zheng back, and then took out a shield to block Ayub's Qinglong knife. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 231. Although the Azure Dragon Sword did not cause any damage to him, he still could not completely avoid all the damage from the skill. A bolt of lightning struck him, and a red number floated above his head. -600. Wang Shuo was a little unbelievable. This attack should have caused at least thousands of damage. Unexpectedly, this big and strong guy blocked more than half of it. Ayub's face sank, and he couldn't help but look solemn. Wang Shuo stood up, feeling that the situation was not good, and immediately joined the battle. Zhou Yuanjia, the military advisor standing in the distance, slowly shook the feather fan, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Brother Li, it seems that the Lord's battle situation is not optimistic. You have to seize the opportunity and prepare to respond. Li Jiangguo stood in front of the bronze crossbow car, staring at the battle of the 4 people with his eyes wide open, nodded and said, "Okay." In the battle group, Good's advantage as a cavalry archer disappeared, but he did not fall into the disadvantage at all. After several rounds of fighting, Wang Shuo was secretly surprised. He is such a great general. The other horse bandits on the opposite side, seeing their boss being knocked off his horse and being besieged, all showed anxious expressions. "Go up and save the big boss," The second in command, Alasu, raised his arm and shouted, leading the way and rushing over. Wang Shuo saw that the situation was not right and wanted to retreat. Now was not the time to fight the opponent head-on. This battle was a defensive counterattack, and they had to retreat to the hill. Retreat, Wang Shuo said to Gong Zheng and Ayub. Don't run, this is just a warm-up. Good grinned. Perhaps it had been a long time since he had such a hearty battle, and he still felt a little bit unsatisfied. Gong Zheng forced Good to retreat a step, summoned his warhorse, followed Wang Shuo and Ayub, and retreated to the hill. Good looked back and cursed the idiots under his command. Looking at the backs of the three people going away, this was the best time to shoot and kill them. Somehow, he didn't do it. Boss, are you okay? The other horse bandits rushed over and asked with concern. What can happen to me? These three people on the other side are quite interesting. We will capture them alive later. Wang Shuo, who fled back to his own camp, was still in shock. He secretly warned himself that he must not be so reckless next time. Before Wang Shuo could catch his breath, he heard Li Jiangguo had already ordered, fire. 10 catapults threw 10 huge projectiles high up and hit the charging horse bandits. A huge explosion immediately set off. Bang! Dozens of horse bandits were blown away directly, and several unlucky guys were blown to pieces on the spot. More people were knocked off their horses by the explosion and trampled into meat paste by the war horses rushing up from behind. The surrounding horse bandits were trembling in their hearts. This was the first time they, as horse bandits, had encountered such a heavy weapon attack. But they were charging at high speed and could not make any changes before receiving orders, otherwise they would be trampled to death by their own people. After a round of explosions, there was no sound, which made them cheer again. Shouts and shouts were heard everywhere, mixed with the rumbling of horse hooves, which was very noisy. Just when they thought they could rush to the hill and crush their opponents, the shield soldiers who were originally standing in the front line, 3 people lined up, revealing the bronze crossbow cart hidden behind them. This time, Wang Shuo directly brought 30 bronze crossbow carts, which can be said to be quite well prepared. Release. 150 black iron spears poured down from the hill. The powerful impact force could even pierce the warhorse from head to tail. If there was another bracket, the horse could be roasted directly. This round of attack took away nearly 100 people. After all, not every spear could hit the enemy. Good frowned, riding on the warhorse. The charging horse bandits were less than 300 meters away from the hill. At this moment, another round of rain of arrows poured down from the hill. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 232. Each of Wang Shuo's 400 archers was equipped with a strong bow. With Zhou Yuanzhi's high morale and the Legion Order, their combat effectiveness was further improved, which was incomparable to ordinary archers. This round of arrow rain directly reduced the number of horse bandits on the opposite side by nearly 100 people. Before they rushed to the front of the position, the horse bandits had already suffered more than 200 casualties. This made the leaders of the horse bandits extremely angry. Even the second leader was shot by an arrow. He stretched out his hand and pulled out the arrow directly, shouting, "Kill! Shoot!" Gong Kai shouted again. After the second round of arrow rain, the horse bandits finally rushed to the front of the position. At this time, the shield soldiers immediately returned to their positions to protect the archers in the back. After rushing up the uphill road for nearly 1 kilometer, the impact force of the horse bandits had been attenuated to the limit. The mud pit trap in front of the position also caused a lot of trouble for the horse bandits. The archers in the position directly stepped onto the high platform temporarily built with wood. On top, they can also effectively shoot at the horse bandits blocked by the shield soldiers. Now, it depends on whether the 200 shield soldiers and 200 Black Mountain bandits can withstand the melee attack of more than 500 horse bandits. The two sides fought a fierce hand-to-hand fight. Due to the rush of time, the fortifications on the hill were very simple. Wang Shuo was also afraid of building strong fortifications. If the horse bandits on the opposite side did not attack, it would be embarrassing. Just when the fierce battle was in full swing, Ayub and Li Jiangguo, with the soldiers of the crossbow battalion, quietly walked down the hill from the rear. Wang Shuo looked at the military advisor Zhou Yuanjia beside him and grinned. "Military advisor, are you afraid?" "Afraid? Although I am a weak scholar, I also have a passion. What is there to fear?" "Okay. Protect yourself." Wang Shuo looked at the leaders on the opposite side, who were invincible on the battlefield, and it was difficult for ordinary soldiers to resist. In a few breaths, several soldiers were killed. The number of generals on Wang Shuo's side was far less than that of the opponent, and they still showed signs of decline when they fought hand to hand. The defensive formation of the shield soldiers was broken by some horse bandit generals. Gong Kai immediately commanded the archers to focus on several of the opponent's leading generals, and they could barely force the opponent's generals to defend. Wang Shuo did not hesitate and directly selected an opponent to fight with him. Balga Wa, 7th leader of Fiima village. Level 39, Intermediate General. Attack power, 620. Defense power, 220. Health points, 5,600. Skill, Bloodthirst. This should be the weakest general on the opposite side. Seeing Wang Shuo rushing over, Balga Wa showed a cruel smile on her face. Bloodthirst was activated, and her eyes were bloodshot and red. Wang Shuo jumped high, holding the gun with both hands, and the long gun turned over his head and smashed it hard at Balga Wa. Although Bhargava's eyes were red, he did not lose his mind. He knew that he could not resist this attack. He rolled to the side and avoided Wang Shuo's attack. Wang Shuo used the tip of his gun to stab Bhargava's rolling position continuously, and for a while, Bhargava was beaten in a mess. Just as Wang Shuo was chasing after the victory, an arrow flew over. "Lord, be careful," Zhou Yuanjia exclaimed immediately. Wang Shuo looked up and his pupils shrank suddenly. Why did this arrow have a familiar smell? This arrow was shot by Good. Wang Shuo quickly dodged to the side, holding the gun with both hands and smashing it hard at the arrow. Finally, the arrow was knocked away. But the power of this arrow was so great that Wang Shuo felt a little numb in both hands. Because there were still many soldiers between Good and Wang Shuo, the two just glanced at each other and focused on the opponent in front of them. Wang Shuo's attack was interrupted, and Bhargava stood up with a somersault, angrily saying, "You are looking for death." After that, he brandished his two swords and rushed towards Wang Shuo. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 233. The two started fighting. After Gong Zheng knocked away a horse bandit, he saw Good opening and closing with thunderbolts on the battlefield, and no one could slow down his pace. He directly held up the big shield and rushed over. Tai Diao Dao, let's have some fun this time, a playful smile appeared on Good's lips. That's what I meant, Gong Zheng snorted coldly, without fear, and directly transformed into a giant. I underestimated you. Seeing Gong Zheng's transformation, Good did not dare to look down upon him. He took a few steps back, took out his arrow and pointed it at Gong Zheng. The battle scene was extremely chaotic. After a while, a large number of horse bandits fell in a pool of blood. They were originally cavalry, but they were forced to engage in close combat with the shield soldiers. They not only had to face attacks from more than 400 archers on the high platform, and they also have to deal with 200 Black Mountain Bandit soldiers who are very good at close combat. The battle quickly heats up. Before setting off, Zhou Yuanjia suggested that Wang Shuo bring a group of spearmen, but Wang Shuo did not currently train this type of troops, so he could only let the Black Mountain Bandits make a temporary cameo. Therefore, each of the Black Mountain Bandits was temporarily equipped with a long gun. Combined with the shield soldiers, the effect at this time is very obvious. As time passed, several leaders realized that something was wrong. The combat effectiveness of the opposing army far exceeded expectations. Many horse bandits have already decided to quit. But the host didn't give any orders, so they could only rush towards the spears and shields on the opposite side. At this moment, Ayub rushed out of a canyon with the Golden Fire Cavalry. Although it was also going uphill, the horse bandits were now in disorganized formation and were bitten by the Red Flame army on the hill. It is about to fall into a situation of attack from two sides. If the opponent's strong man breaks his wrist and orders to charge down the hill, he will still face the rain of arrows from the archers. Really caught in a dilemma. Good has also seen the Golden Fire Cavalry charging over. At the same time, there were 200 soldiers of the Ballista Battalion on the plain. 30 bronze crossbow carts were arranged neatly, and each crossbow cart was loaded with bronze spears. A smile appeared on Li Jiangguo's face. His title as the boss killer was definitely not in vain. Just when Good was stunned for a second, Gong Zheng accelerated his attack, giving him no chance to turn around and retreat. Even if he was injured, he would never be given a chance. Good was anxious, but for a while, he couldn't get rid of Gong Zheng. Good, don't you want to have some fun with me? Gong Zheng smiled playfully. But his petrified face and smile made people want to laugh. Ayub's cavalry quickly rushed up. The Golden Fire Cavalry led by Ayub is a heavily armored cavalry, and also has his own cavalry charge skill, Legion Order, and other effects. The impact is completely unmatched by the horse archers and rangers like the horse bandits. Although there are only 200 people, there are currently only more than 400 horse bandits. As soon as they made contact, the formation of the horse bandits was pierced by Ayub's Golden Fire Cavalry. There were a lot of casualties. This charge directly destroyed the morale of the horse bandits. Good could no longer care about Gong Zheng, and used all his strength to strike hard with Gong Zheng's head-sized fist. The distance between the two sides widened, Gong Zheng took a step back, and Good used the force of the rebound to retreat more than 10 meters. Withdraw! Good shouted, jumped on his horse, and rushed down the hill. Before leaving, he did not choose the direction in which Ayub rushed down the hill, but the direction in which Li Jiangguo deployed his defenses on the other side. He has already experienced the bronze ballista just now. Each spear only deals 500 points of damage. His own health is as high as 8,000, so he can completely withstand it. As long as he rushes through these soldiers, he can escape safely.